Hello, Wes Lee here with another edition of the Mesonet Weather Report. Rains continued again this week, adding to last week's impressive numbers. For the month of May, the rainfall map looks pretty good with a lot of green. Most of the state, excluding the Panhandle, had 4 or more inches of moisture. When you compare this to the last 15 years of Mesonet data, you can easily see how much above or below each site came in compared to the long-term average. Negatives in the southeast and Panhandle, but positive numbers in most of the remainder of the state. Now let's look at some of the other weather variables for May. It was another warmer than expected month, even with the massive cool down we had towards the end of the month. All 120 sites were warmer than normal, with the southwest being up to 5 degrees above what was expected. It also was another windy month to add on to the windiest April in Mesonet history. May had high winds in the west that were 2 to 5 miles per hour above the long-term average. Lastly, when we look at percent sunshine, we see where the clouds stay socked in over the northeast, while the west had more sunny, clear days to deal with. Now here's Gary erasing some of the color on the drought map.
Thanks, Wes, and good morning, everyone. Well, for the 4th week in a row, we have good news on the Drought Monitor. It looks like drought, for the most part in Oklahoma, is on its way out. Let's get right to that new map and see where we're at. Well, this map, it looks better than last week. It's still lots of color on there, especially across the western third of the state. Some of that extreme drought still there. Just a little bit of exceptional left in the western panhandle. But for the most part, drought is on the downturn in the state. We are starting to push it farther and further to the west. And if we take a look at the next map, I'll show you why probably a little bit more of that will be gone next week, and maybe a lot of it. Okay, this is just the rainfall from the last 2 days, and there's still rain falling at this time, so there's going to be even more. But the rainfall in consideration for each drought monitor map ends at 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning. This is rain that has fallen after Tuesday 7 a.m. this week. So look at all this rain, 2, 3, 4, even more than 5 inches across the western third of the state will all be considered for next week's map. That's what tells me that a lot of that color across western Oklahoma is going to disappear again on next week's map. Now let's get to more good news. On the Climate Prediction Center's outlooks for June, we start with the temperature outlook. We do see above normal temperatures, a little bit increased odds across the southwestern half of the state. Not too bad. The northeastern part, equal chances for above, below, or near normal conditions. So basically seasonal temperatures are favored there. Now let's get to some more good news. The June temperature, precipitation, and drought outlooks from the Climate Prediction Center. For temperatures, we see increased odds of above normal temperatures across the southwestern half or so. And then for precipitation, for much of the northeastern half of the state, save for the Panhandle, we see increased odds of above normal precipitation, but especially from central up through north central Oklahoma over into northeastern Oklahoma. And now for the best map, the June drought outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. We do see much of that drought across the western part of the state, except for the Panhandle, shows drought improving or even being removed. So, as I mentioned many times as we're going through January, February, even March, spring rainfall is the great equalizer when it comes to drought, especially when we get into May and June. And it looks like that's what's happening this year as well. That's it for this time. We'll see you next time on the Mesonet Weather Report.